Hi, today we'll be talking about the sample company profile. The sample company profile is usually obtained from ACRA. ACRA stands for the Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority. One very important thing about the BIS file or the company profile is the date on which it is issued. Usually the date appears in the right uh, corner, top corner of the BIS file. Today we'll cover different aspects of the company profile. We have the business profile for the company. This is the sample number, the company number. The registration number is also known as the UEN number. UEN stands for the unique entity number. This is where it would be showing the details of the UEN number. Then we have the company name and former name if any. This is covered under this particular heading. Then we have the incorporation date, and we also have the company type status. It is a limited private company and it is a live company. In case a strike off application has been put with ACRA, then the status would change as strike off application or strike off in progress. The status date is as on this date. Then we have the principal activity. This talks about the SSIC code, and we have the activities, the SSIC code and the respective description of the SSIC code. We can have a maximum of only 2 descriptions that can be mentioned in the principal activity of any company. Then you have a option for share capital, which also talks about the amount, the number of shares, the currency, which is in Singapore dollars, and the share type. Over here it is ordinary. In case there are preference shares to be issued, then there will be a subcategory saying that share type would be preference. We also have a column for the paid up capital, which again talks about whether the issued capital is the same amount as that as a paid up. There may be cases where there are only partly paid shares that needs to be clearly bifurcated in this particular company profile. Then we have the registered office address of the company. This is the address where the registered mails will be appearing in the company. Then we have the date of address as on which date the registered office address is mentioned. Then we have details of the last AGM, the last AR, the last accounts and the last date of lodgement. The last date of AGM would be the date of AGM which was mentioned in the previous annual return. This is the date on which the annual return was filed. And then you have the accounts up to which the business profile will only talk about the latest date up to which the annual returns are filed. Then in case there is a corporate shareholder, there needs to be an audit firm that needs to be appointed. The name of the audit firm will be appearing in this particular column. Then charges and charges if any. When we're talking about the charges, it refers to any loan taken from the bank, and when such loan is taken from the bank, it needs to be registered with ACRA saying that this property of the company has been mortgaged, or based on which the loan has been taken. That is what is referred to as charge over here. Then we talk about the different officers and name. Over here, say for example, we have Lu Taiwa. We have an identification ID number. That's your identification number. It could be your passport number. It could be your NRIC or FIN number. We have a position held, which is that of a director. They also need to be mentioned on the nationality, which is Malaysian. And then we have the date of appointment. So these are the details where you have the directors and secretary that needs to be mentioned. We have to ensure that their address are also properly updated. One important thing to note is where there is a local director. Over here I'm saying local because it's a Singaporean. We have a Singapore ID and we also have a Singapore address. They also at all times have to correspond. When I'm saying to correspond, it could be a Singapore citizen, but he could have a foreign address. If that is the case, then we have to ensure that in a company profile there has to be at least one local residing director. We covered the directors. Now we talk about, we also just mentioned, I'm just highlighting that we also have secretaries over here. Now we also talk about shareholders. Shareholders, we need to have the name and address, the ID, nationality, source of address, and the address change. Over here, if we see that there is a company, there is the name of the shareholder ending with PT Limited, we understand there's a corporate shareholder. If that is the case, we have to automatically check if the auditor has been appointed, because a corporate shareholding company must at all times have an audit firm to be appointed. The reason being, whenever there is a corporate shareholder, the accounts of the company have to be audited, and that's the reason why there needs to be an auditor. But there are exceptions when the accounts have to be audited. So we know that they have ordinary shares, they have the currency, and they have the number. So this is how the business profile looks. We are on the last page of the company profile. If you see over here, you have UL, UF, and VS. This is the abbreviation that stands for it. And usually there would be this particular receipt number and date which talks about the date on which this company profile was generated, and this is always a computer generated document, and hence there will be no separate signature from an ACRA officer.